What's up YouTube, it's Sean here, and I am back today to give you guys a review of the Nike Air Max 95 OG in the Solar Red colorway. First off, I just want to give a huge thank you to Champ Sports Canada for not only hooking me up with this shoe, but also this Champion hoodie that I'm rocking today. So both the shoes and the hoodie should be available at your local Champ Sports store. So these Air Max 95s dropped on July 19th for $160 US or 215 Canadian dollars. The official colorway for this shoe is white, solar red, granite, and dust. So there's a couple things I want to point out to you guys before we get into the actual review. So one, despite the box actually saying Air Max 95 OG on the label, the solar red colorway is actually not an OG colorway. I believe the very first time that we saw the solar red on this Air Max 95 model was back in 2011, which was about 6 years after the original release in 95. So I've been seeing a lot of sneaker blogs, sneaker sites, and YouTube videos stating that this one was an original colorway, but this is actually not the case. The second point I want to point out is, strangely enough, these solar red 95s actually dropped earlier this year in January. So there were some slight differences between that pair and this pair. Specifically, for example, they utilized black in this bottom layer right here as opposed to like a darker gray. Also, the tongue was slightly different, and then this swoosh found on the back heel was actually outlined in black. So I'm not sure why Nike decided to release basically the same shoe within a span of 7 months, but if you guys have any idea, let me know in the comments down below. So moving on to the actual shoe, so the Air Max 95, it goes without saying, is one of the most iconic sneakers in Nike's lineup. Originally designed by Sergio Lozano, this was the first Nike Air Max shoe that featured visible forefoot air. Of course, the Air Max 95 has a cult following, and I'm sure this audience was pretty happy when these released. So visually, the Air Max 95 is very unique. As you can tell, taking a look at the sides of the shoe, this is constructed using this gradient-like effect, where there's layer after layer of suede. So it goes from a darker gray at the very bottom, eventually to a lighter shaded gray at the top. Towards the center area of the shoe, here we have this white mesh, and then wrapping around the edge of the toe box, we have the darkest shade of gray, forming the toe cap. Running up the center area of the shoe, and partly visible through this white mesh, here we have these nylon eyelets done in the solar red color. These eyelets help to contain the laces, which are a thin rope style lace that have a bit of gray or silver intertwined within the white. As for the tongue, this is mostly constructed out of white nylon, but there's this long strip of 3M running down the center, which gives it that reflective property when exposed to direct light. At the very top of the tongue, we have this embroidered Air Max logo. Unlike the OG Solar Red 95s, the tongue on these is slightly different. So in this case, the back of the tongue is done in solar red, and it's pretty visible even from the front or the sides of the shoe. As mentioned earlier, on the lateral side near the back heel, here we have this embroidered Nike swoosh done in solar red. Turning these over to the back heel, so here we have this strip of 3M once again, and then at the very top we have Nike Air branding in black. The inner liner of the shoe is done in white fabric, and then taking a look at the insoles, so these come with a solar red colored insole with Nike Air branding on the heel in black. So the upper of these Air Max 95s sits atop this full-length foam midsole in black. Of course, it goes without saying we have these two visible air bubbles along the forefoot, and then there's this large bubble along the back heel. The interior of the air bubble is done in that same solar red color, which gives it a nice contrast when you compare it to the black of the foam. Flipping these over to the bottom, so here we have your standard Air Max 95 outsole. Along the forefoot, here we have some solar red rubber, and then we have these rectangular pieces that forms the traction pattern on the forefoot. Running down the center of the outsole, here we have the PSI, or pressure per square inch indicator. So this is true to form to the OGs, and it's supposed to indicate the pressure or the stiffness of the air bubbles found throughout the shoe. From a sizing standpoint, so Champ Sports Canada sent me these in a size 10, and my feet actually do measure as a true 10, slightly on the wider side. However, with a lot of my Air Maxes, including the Air Max 1, the Air Max 90, and the Air Max 97, I usually go with a size 10.5. In this case, the size 10 for these Air Max 95 fit, but it was a little bit on the snug side, especially around this toe box area. With that said, if I had the chance to pick my size, I probably would have went with a size 10.5 with these. So I'd say that they fit true to size if you have normal or narrow feet, but definitely go up a half size if your feet are slightly on the wider end. Comfort wise, so based on my experience with past models, the Air Max 95 is a shoe that gets more comfortable over time. So trying these on straight out of the box, they felt a little bit stiff, but I find that this model definitely will soften up and become much more comfortable with added wear and a little bit of break in time. So with all that being said, now let me lace these up and show you guys how these look on feet. Overall, despite not being a true OG colorway of the Air Max 95, for fans of Air Maxes in general, including myself, this is definitely a worthy cop and one of those under the radar sort of drops from Nike. If you guys are interested in picking up a pair, these should be still available at your local Champs store. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me a follow on Instagram at sgo8 and check out my website at seango.ca. Before I sign off, another thank you goes out to Champs Sports Canada for not only hooking me up with the shoes, but also this champion hoodie that I'm rocking today. So until next time, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.